Hey, welcome back. I got a CD for you. This is Night Visions by Imagine Dragons. This is their debut studio album. And I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of this one. I like this one. There are several great songs on here, but there are also some duds, I have to say. I got this back in 2012. I'm sorry, 2013. It's one of the, that's when it came out. And, to be honest, I think it's very overlooked. Here's the plan. Here's how this is going to work. I will give you my thoughts on the physical packaging of the CD album, and then I will share my thoughts on the tracks. Now, I'm not going to. There are bonus tracks for this one, because I think this is a Target exclusive, where it has tons of bonus track. Well, not tons. It has a lot of bonus songs, but I'm not going to comment on those. I'm just going to go through the standard track list. So here we are. Here's the front. If you see any reflective stuff, I apologize. That's the nature of these jewel cases. But here we are. We got the Night Visions, Imagine Dragons logo. You got a kid standing in a bunch of like, it almost looks like an arena, some kind of big rock-like arena. I don't know exactly what this is supposed to be, but it's cool. It's kind of a plain, cover, but whatever. Got the spine. I'll call it that. Here is the back showing all of the tracks. Again, the bonus tracks are down here. Here, I'm just going to focus on these up here. Let's see. Here's the disc. It's all right. It's not terrible. It's just very plain compared to some of the other ones that we will be looking at on this channel or in this series. I think this disc is pretty plain, but it is cool. It does have an actual texture to it, which I like. Got Night Visions here, and nothing really on the back part, I guess. Here's the insert. I apologize, there are fingerprints on this insert. I've had this album for quite a while, but I've kept it in good condition. I've tried at least. Nothing really special in the insert for this one. It's just all the song lyrics, which is good. You don't have to go online to look at them. But, nothing too interesting. I think they were just experimenting with the album's, style. And the later albums definitely get a little bit better. But here's the actual band standing in a field of grass there. And that's about it. We've got all the songs there, if you care. So, standard packaging, it's alright. It's not, fantastic, but it's serviceable. But I will put that there and leave that right there. I'm going to talk about these tracks here. My favorite track is actually Tiptoe. I think it works really well. It's a super upbeat song. It's really, really good. I really love that one. It's a very overlooked track, but I think it works really well. Just as a song on its own. It's a very uplifting song. I think several of these tracks are very uplifting. Well, yeah, I'd say so. Tiptoe, underrated. Check it out. It's a pretty sweet track. The one everybody knows. Actually, this one has 4 singles. Radioactive. Fun fact, that was the first Imagine Dragons song I ever heard, and that made me fall in love with the band. Normally, I'm not a fan of rock songs, but this one is just so powerful. It's kind of electronically made, if that makes any sense. Like, it has a lot of electro techno beats to it, which I like. And my favorite part is the beginning. It's so good. I love this song still. I love it just as much now as I did when I first heard it. It's a great song. It is loud. It is the loudest, most aggressive song on the album, but I think it works really well. I mean, everyone all of these songs. Well, a lot of these songs work really well, but I think Radioactive especially is a big, bombastic, super aggressive rock heavy anthem, and it sounds amazing. It's fantastic. Demons is another favorite of mine. It's a shorter track, but it is incredibly powerful. In fact, I think Dan Reynolds' vocals are stretched to the limit with this one, especially near the end. That's when it gets really powerful. And it's a really, really well made song. It sounds great as well. Big fan of Demons. It's a solid track. It's Time. Probably my least favorite single. I believe this was actually their Imagine Dragons' first single. This one's great. It's very happy, it's very upbeat, but it's my least favorite. I've heard it so much that it's a little grating, but it's not bad. It's just something I've heard so much that it's a little, it's a little repetitive, but I still, I don't like it. It's just the one I listen to the least. On Top of the World, another great favorite of mine. This is probably the most happy song on the album. It's super joyful, cheerful, very happy. It's a great track, and the videos for all of these are great. But On Top of the World, it's just a super inspiring track, very powerful, very fun, lively. I would recommend listening to it. If you have not listened to On Top of the World, you are doing a disservice. It's a great track. Um, I do have a couple of other mentions I'd like to shout out in particular. Underdog, a very underrated track. This one is solid. It's just super fun. It's very again uplifting, very inspiring. Same thing with Amsterdam. I would also say that's very uplifting, very not so much inspiring, but it is very it does have a very surreal tone to it, I think, and it works really well for this album. Those are probably the two tracks that are not singles that I like, as well as Tiptoe. That's like the three non singles that I think are the strongest of this album. The other songs are where some of the problems start to come in. Nothing Left to Say with Rocks. That's actually two songs mixed, so it's like about 9 minutes or so. It's all right. It's not my favorite. They're both kind of slow. They're just not my favorite. They play well. They sound fine. They're just nothing I would like go out and say, "Oh yeah, listen to that. That's great." No. They're just technically they're the album closers, but I just think they're pretty weak tracks overall. Same with Bleeding Out. Not a huge fan of that one. It sounds fine, but the lyrics are kind of repetitive and I don't know. That this is the one track that I think of Imagine Dragons that sounds actually not good. I just don't like it. It's not my favorite. Same with Every Night and Hear Me. These two are super forgettable. I do not recommend listening to these. They're not great, in my opinion. They're just very poor. They're very weak. They're very lame sounding tracks. They're not that great. But again, that's my opinion. They're not standouts. I mean, the ones I mentioned already, just listen to those. I feel like Tiptoe is what these tracks should have been. But they're not memorable. So, yeah, unfortunately, there are some duds. But I will mention, of the bonus tracks, my favorite is actually America. It's I'd say the most beautifully sounding song of this entire album. I'm not going to give anything else away. I'm just going to say that it is a beautiful song. I'm just saying. I know I said I wouldn't mention the bonus tracks, but I had to mention that one because I loved it so much. Yeah, this was the album that gave Imagine Dragons their start. I do think it is a solid album with some duds. Obviously, the ones I pointed out are not near the end. I guess the ones that I don't love, they're not bad. They're just ones that I don't care about at the end of the day. Um, and to be honest, I don't really listen to the bonus tracks that much. In fact, I've only listened to them once, and they're okay. They're not bad, but I'd stick with some of these singles. Again, Tiptoe is just a fantastic track. I was blown away when I first listened to it. I was just like, okay, they're not just singles. They've got some talent here. And the music production is just phenomenal in my opinion, especially on Radioactive. Just the way the drum beats happen and the guitar and a lot of the background noises, it just works really well. Same with On Top of the World and It's Time. I think It's Time has a great background beat to it. And yeah, I love this. Oh, I don't love this album. I love the singles from this album, and like I said, I love the non-singles that I mentioned. I think it's solid. If you're a fan of singles, this one has a good amount of them. I wouldn't say it's an purchase worthy unless you like debut work, experimental type sounds. This has some of that. Their next albums definitely have more of like a theme. It definitely they have more of a like a vision to them, more of a story, I'd say. These are just all kind of all over the place, but I would recommend buying this album if you love these singles. It's worth it on that alone. Presentation wise, it's fine. It's not super memorable, but it does the job. You know, it's serviceable. So I like this album. It's probably not my favorite Imagine Dragons album, but it's not my least favorite either. So it's in the middle. It's not bad. But those are my thoughts. I think it's pretty solid. It's not fantastic as an album, but I think it is strong enough to be listenable. Again, with those singles, the singles really help it. Otherwise, I think this is probably a skip. If they didn't have those singles on it, it'd probably not be great. But let me know what you think of Imagine Dragons Night Visions. Do you have this album? Do you like it? What do you think about it? And what are your thoughts on Imagine Dragons as a whole? Let me know what you think down below. And if you have this album, what are your thoughts on it? And I'd love to discuss with you down below. Thank you for watching this. I appreciate it. I will see you in the next album review. Until then, stay great, enjoy music, and have a great day.